Welcome to Mommy Making Millions, the podcast. I'm your hostess, Marquitta DaShae, mompreneur mentor, author, and visionary strategist. I help mompreneurs develop balance between their businesses and their babies while attaining generational wealth, simply taking their ideas and helping them to turn it into profitable income. Join me bi-weekly as I put the spotlight on other successful millionaire mompreneurs for them to also share their best business practices and truly unveil what it looks like from the glamorous life to the deep, dark, nitty-gritty life of a mompreneur. All right, welcome back to another episode of Mommy Making Millions, the podcast. I am delighted because we have top millennial expert Dominique Broadway here with us today. And child, it has been a struggle trying to get Miss Broadway on the Mommy Making Millions podcast. I don't know what Miss Broadway is getting ready to drop for y'all today, but I know it has to be something special because we could have easily given up on this podcast, but we are pushing forward and getting it done. So without further ado, I'd like to welcome Ms. Dominique to our podcast. Dominique, I was really just like, I met you back at Maya's, not retreat, but her impact weekend. You were someone that, you were definitely on the stage rocking it. And what really sparked my attention to you was the residue of just, I'm a mom, I have the kid there. I'm a new mommy at that, and I'm still out here making millions. That was something that I resonated with. We're going to talk about that in just a moment. And then I saw the Forbes article. Congratulations on that article. It was phenomenal. And so you have a lot of assets that I just really connect with and align with the Mommy Making Millions community. So that was one of the reasons that I wanted to really speak with you and have you on the platform today. And then not only that, you had just a beautiful personality. It was very down to earth. And I said, you know what, this is someone that I have to have on this podcast for the Mommy Millionaires out there. So welcome to the podcast. I want to take the opportunity to allow you to just give us some background story and just tell us who you are.
Yeah, thank you for having me. So I'm Dominique Broadway, an award-winning personal finance expert and the founder of Finances Demystified.
Awesome. Okay, so we're going to jump into our interview on today because I know this mommy millionaire is definitely probably doing more than one thing, such as myself. But what I wanted to kind of get into this morning, Dominique, was just as a new mom, how you actually balance, building wealth and also balancing your household. What does that look like for you on a day-to-day basis?
Well, that definitely varies day to day. So it definitely varies day to day, but it varies so much. It's like some days, working from home, you just got a new office space, so now going to the office and working, or traveling, or teaching online classes, on the morning show for Cheddar. So the days, definitely vary day to day. As far as managing it all, I don't manage it all. I think one of the biggest things that has helped me is to get help, right? And so I think a lot of times with mommies, we feel like we can do it all. And I feel like when I had my first daughter, that was me. I'm like, oh, I can do it all. I can, breastfeed the baby and take care of the baby and make the millions and do all the things and, keep the house clean. And I realized very quickly that I couldn't do all that, right? So then I had to think about how much is my time worth, right? And when I started thinking about how much my time is worth, I realized that I needed to start outsourcing, right? So someone I can pay 30, 40 bucks or whatever an hour, 20 bucks an hour to do something. And if, I can make 5, 10, 20, 50, 100,000 an hour, it doesn't make sense for me to be doing a $20 or $30 an hour job, right? Mm-hmm. So then I just started outsourcing, right? And like I said, that was big for me and kind of mommy journey. So having the nanny and having the housekeeper or the house cleaner, and at one point I had a chef for a while after I had my second daughter. But also I have staff that work for me with FD, with Finances Demystified. But that's honestly how I have been able to manage all of the things. Now, obviously, like I said, it takes people time to get there, and I had to get there, right? So, like I said before, I was doing all the stuff, but my focus was on increasing my revenue so that I could hire the help that I needed so that I could focus on increasing my revenue even more.
Oh, I love that. I love that. So you said you focused on increasing your revenue so that you can outsource even the more to pretty much make more money, right?
Mm-hmm.
I definitely love that. And I think that that's important to do, especially as a mom, or even important to, that should be the goal, right? Because I know a lot of moms feel like, well, I don't have the money right now to hire, X, Y, and Z, but it definitely should be the goal. And I always talk to our community about, well, even just making sure that you're charging what you're worth so that you can afford these things, because that time that you're spending with your child, it's not to say that we don't love our child or to adapt that mom guilt, but it's definitely allows us to make, like you said, even more money, hundreds and thousands, and then we can outsource these smaller projects, laundry, virtual assistants, marketers, graphic designers, even someone to even come in and clean the house, or even just a nanny to, not feel like, I have to put my kid into daycare, whatever that looks like for you, just kind of mapping that out. I think that's extremely important to identify that very early on. And then I don't know, I think for me in the beginning, breastfeeding almost really took me out. I was like, how we're going to do
Mm-hmm.
this? Because it's not an easy task, and it's a lot of unspoken truth that nobody really talks about in the mom community, especially for working moms. I am guilty of trying to feel like I could do it all, balance, trying, because at the time I had my boutique where I was a solopreneur more so I didn't
Mm-hmm.
have the tools, that were afforded to me to kind of balance it all out. So I'm
Yeah.
glad that you kind of pointed that mechanism out, that you want to be able to try to outsource these smaller tasks, and I always say, try to write down a list of things that you're responsible for daily and think of the things that you can outsource so that you can maximize on the time that you have to just kind of focus on really more revenue generating activities.
Yeah, totally agree.
So what I loved about your Forbes article, and it was just so inspiring, because when you talk about being going broke to 8.5 million, that's not something little. So let me go ahead and just clap it up for you. That's not something,
Thank you.
that's not a blink or something that should be overlooked. And I was definitely hyping you up in our Facebook community, and a lot of our one of the questions that came back is, why is it so important for moms, or not just moms but entrepreneurs, to diversify their portfolio, in ways that they can leverage in the investment world? So why should we be trying to get a piece of the pie in investing at this time, especially as it relates to diversifying our portfolio?
Just specifically with like the stock market, or like investments amongst like multiple places, like real estate, things like that, or just straight up stock market?
So I think, we can, let's go as far as in the form of the stock market, because when we talk about mommy making millions, we're not talking to the hustle mommies, the moms that are looking for a quick come up, the moms that are trying to find a way to make quick cash, but moms
Mm-hmm.
that are truly looking to build out generational wealth, and those that are trying to, leave legacy to their children. And so how can they use the stock market to leverage, being wealthy
Mm-hmm.
or diversifying their portfolio?
Yeah, yeah. So that's, kind of diversifying your portfolio versus just kind of leveraging the stock market are two different things, right? So, um, I would say, it's important to invest. If you're not, honestly, if you're not investing, it's going to be very, very hard to build wealth, because essentially your money probably isn't working for you, right? So, just really looking at ways that you can, even if you're starting small, starting with buying maybe a stock in a company you like, or even for like my kids, I buy them a lot of tech stock every month, on I think the third of the month, a set amount goes and buys them, a few $1,000s worth of stock every month, right? So that by the time they get to be 18, they'll be well over millionaires, right? Just the way that we're setting up their portfolios now. So I would say, like, for moms who are looking to do this for their children or even for themselves, just kind of jump in, right? Open up an account with, a Robinhood or Fidelity or E-Trade or stuff like that. Open up custodian accounts for your children or minor Roth IRAs for your children at Fidelity or E-Trade, and just start buying stocks in companies that they already use, or companies that they already like, right? So I know I did this for my little sister when she was, like 8 years old. I would have her, pick companies that she liked, and now she's almost 21, and she would pick the little companies she liked, and we would buy stock in those companies, and she would be very excited about it, right? And she would tell her friends, like, hey guys, I'm part owner of this, a part owner of that, right? Just to kind of get them excited. But I'm just saying, also to say, like, we can do the same things for ourselves. I think also, as moms, we have to make sure that, yes, it's great to be doing things for our children, but also make sure that you have all the things in place for yourself, that you're building, the investment portfolios, for yourself, and you're buying stocks and companies that maybe you like and use. Excuse me, but also that getting even your retirement accounts, having all those things in place as well, before you start setting up for your children. Because what I've also seen people do is try to set so many things up for their children and don't really have anything for themselves, and then they have to start, like, borrowing or taking money from their children, right? Because they didn't set themselves up for success. So that's literally how simple it can be. And then also kind of talking about diversifying. I think it's there's a lot of different ways to diversify, right? There's ways you can diversify in your little investment account, where maybe you're having stocks, but you're also having, like, mutual funds, which are essentially just a basket of stocks, or ETFs, which are also a basket of stocks. Having a little bit of money in cash. I do a lot of dabbling with crypto, right? But then also, as because we're mommy millionaires, so we're not just doing investment accounts. That's not enough, right? So having real estate, investing into other companies, having other businesses, creating multiple streams of income, later on acquiring other businesses or investing in other businesses to create money. So if you're, really trying to become a mommy millionaire, it's really not hard to make the first million, right? The harder part is really keeping it and growing it. And then that's when you want to think bigger term, outside of, okay, cool, I made the first million, I'm a millionaire. There's 22 million millionaires in the country, so there's a lot of them, right? So becoming a millionaire is cool, but it's staying there, right? Because there are so many millionaires, right? But how do you get there, and how do you stay there, and then put your children in position to stay there, to get there and stay there as well?
I love it. I love that, Dominique. You said so many things. I hope that our listeners are listening. Well, when they listen to this, I hope that they're really taking note and, even replaying this a few times, because you gave a lot of information there. But what you said that truly resonated with me most is, number one, it's not really hard to be a millionaire. You said that. So, like, and it's not. But more importantly, how do you sustain it? How do you make your money work for you? And like you said, just keep it. So what I want to talk about too is two things. I want to talk about your toddler, but I also want to talk about where did my question go? Kind of misplaced where my question was, but it was right. That's kind of moved too quickly. So I got excited when you started talking about it's not hard. No, because I think sometimes, because we think about, like, where we are and an essence of what we currently have, and because there's so many people that are not doing what we're doing in our smaller circle, right? Or we're in our startup circle, I'll say. A lot of moms feel like, because they're in a circle, or they have the community of, maybe it's just them, they're the first ones that are even having a wealth mindset, or an entrepreneurial mindset. So because they don't see a lot of people that are actually doing it, they don't actually believe that it's in their reach for them to actually achieve. So one of the things that you also mentioned in your Forbes interview was the fact that you felt like, you were a hypocrite, and that you were giving advice, but you weren't following it. What was that season like for you during that time of, being a coach, but also during this process of what I like to call the through process. But in a season of also kind of looking at what went wrong as a way of not it was a loss, but this was a lesson, and now these are the results because I paid attention of what was going wrong. I did speak to, or I did seek and get help, and now I'm able to kind of go back to the drawing board and rework this thing.
I mean, wow, it's been so long. It seems like now, but I mean, I think during that time, it was just really getting hyper focused on. I was like hyper focused on my business, but not necessarily. You know how they kind of say like the hairstylist, like hair ain't never done type of things. They doing everybody else's hair. It was a
Mm-hmm.
similar thing. I was just helping everyone else and focusing on everyone else. And I also the biggest thing is I wasn't charging enough, which I think is something you mentioned earlier. Making sure that you are charging enough, and charging what your worth is. And that was another thing that I was doing. That put me in, a bad situation. Obviously, I felt like a hypocrite. There's a lot of people out here doing things and don't necessarily feel like a hypocrite, but I do have a lot of character, and so I felt like, man, I got to this point. I had already done so well. I had bought my first house at 22. I had saved, probably a little over 50K by the time I was 24, 25, and so I felt like I was always on the right track financially. And then I kind of started this thing, which I felt like God was telling me to do. And it was working. I obviously had tons of clients, but I had tons of clients, not a lot of time, because I wasn't charging, charging what I should have been charging. Right. So that was kind of like the mindset, or kind of where I was then. And I was just, like a lot of entrepreneurs do, like, okay, well, I'll figure it out next month. I'll make more next month. I'll do this next month. And then month after month after month, it just wasn't panning out, right? I was making just enough or not enough. And that was really how I got into that situation. And I looked up and I'm like, oh crap, like what happened, And so that was really, really, really how that happened. Yeah, how that happened.
Good, good. And I know I was guilty of that too at first. It was like, and so are a few of my clients that I speak with. We always feel like, oh, I want to help people. Well, you can help people, but you don't have to sacrifice your worth in the process of, you know, what you're charging, And I think that's a lot of for me, our community's problems is we feel like, well, nobody can afford me, so I'm not going to charge my worth. Well, no, everybody's not your client, everybody's not your target audience, and if you're giving something that's valuable enough that you're actually helping people and you're giving enough value there, then people are going to be willing to pay you for your worth because they're going to see the value in what you're putting out there. So
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
absolutely. So I want to say change gears a little bit, and I want to talk about budgeting because for me, I'm going to be honest with you, Dominique, I was awful at budgeting. I'll just be honest, I was awful at budgeting until I saw, just kind of how it was panning out. Why, like, where did you just kind of? I know in college you were um, someone that a lot of your peers looked up to. What was it about budgeting that you just kind of identified that was most important to you very early on? Like, how were you able to identify that very early on? Because I know for me, I was robbing Peter to pay Paul through college. I didn't. So how was that, like? Was that financial literacy passed down to you? Like, how were you educated on just budgeting and finances?
Yeah, I mean, just honestly, just my mom. Between my mom and my grandfather, we talked about money all the time, right? So we always talked about money. My mom always talked to me, about the importance of budgeting, and back then balancing your checkbook, knowing where your money is, being observant of all your funds. And so that was just like conversations that I was always having growing up. So it just kind of became second nature, right? So even now I wake up every morning and I check all my bank accounts. Sometimes I check them multiple times throughout the day, because when I only had $500, it's easy to see if $20 is missing. But now I have millions, and so if $20 or $50 or $10,000 is missing, I may not know, right? And so a lot of times I try to make sure that I'm checking, just checking and being aware of my finances. But that's really where I got that from.
Good to know. And how is Miss Dawson, Millionaire by 16 track going with her?
It's going very, very well. Her portfolios are down a little bit right now because because the market's down. But either way, she's doing good. We're actually doubling down and buying more now that the market's on sale. So
Mhm.
right now I think I've cut it down to, based on my projections, age 13.
Wow.
And then we're about to start buying her and Demi, the new baby, some houses, probably this year. So it'll probably get cut down a lot sooner as far as the net worth goes. But I want her liquid net worth to be at least 1 million, and on top of her asset net worth to add to that. So yeah, but it's on track. It's on track.
And really quickly, before we move past it, I want to make sure. So, for those that don't know the difference between liquid and her, what did you call it?
Just her, so there's her, meaning her liquid net worth, and then her just kind of like a net worth in general,
Network.
right? So her liquid net worth is like how much cash or liquid funds she has that will be able to equal at least 1 million. And then we talk about, kind of net worth. So she may also have real estate that may be worth, $1 million, but she may have $500,000 in loans or mortgages on those, so that only would equal a $500,000 net worth, right? So I want her liquid net worth to be at least 1 million, and then her, maybe real estate or additional assets to kind of add value to that.
Love it. And Dominique, you said something too. You said, the markets are down right now. We're kind of doubling down and buying. A lot of people are they're kind of scared right now, or pulling
Mm-hmm.
out of a lot of the market. What would be your advice? Because you're like, I'm looking at the opportunity in this.
Yeah, I would say if you're scared and you're pulling out of the markets, you need to do a mindset check. You need to take a second and look at your goals. Um, that's something that people with a poor money mindset do.
Mm-hmm.
When the market goes down, they run because they probably had money in there they couldn't afford to have the market in the first place.
Ooh.
All of the wealthy people right now are literally doubling down. There's all these articles coming out. So and so just bought $10 million worth of this, or $15 million worth of crypto. Follow the money. That's all I have to say. So I've seen these downturns before. I've been investing for 20 years now. I've been in the market for a very long time. I did the wealth management for the high net worth individuals. I've seen this already. I already know how this pans out.
Mm-hmm.
And what happens is, unfortunately, the people with a poor mindset tend to get out of the markets. They lock in their losses, and then it takes them forever, if they ever recover from
Mm-hmm.
locking in those losses, unfortunately. And the wealthy people double down, and then they end up becoming multimillionaires or billionaires through this. So all I would say is, I've seen it before. I already know how this is going to play out. I know what side of it I'm going to be on.
Mm-hmm.
But that's up to you. But at the same time, like, don't put anything. The market's going to go down more. I'm pretty confident. But at the same time, don't invest anything that you can't afford to potentially lose. But also don't miss out because you're thinking poor.
Mm.
If you really want to be a millionaire, you have to move like a millionaire. You can't move like a hundredaire. And most people move like hundredaires. They got a couple $100. They trying to make a couple $100. That's cute, but that ain't gonna get nothing. As you can see, inflation is high. It costs over $100 now just to fill up your car, right? So if you want to keep up with the way that prices are going and all these things, like, inflation and the cost of things, you have to take a little bit of risk. That my mom used to always say, scared money don't make money. It's very true. People who are scared to invest in themselves, people who are scared to invest in real estate, people who are scared to invest in stock market, whatever, we all know those people, and you see them. They have nothing because they were always scared, so they protected their money, but that typically means that their money never grew.
I'm loving this, Dominique. You got to have a Dominique in your circle, okay? She's going to hype you up. Like, scare money, don't make no money. How you trying to move, sis? You trying to make this money or not? We're not talking about the hustle people. We're talking about the ones that are trying to get to the wealth mindset. So I love it. Thank you, Dominique, so much for that. So for a mom who's just starting out, she doesn't know what to do, run us
Mm-hmm.
the play. What should we be doing
Do with what?
as far as investing?
Oh, if that's it. Yeah. So like I said earlier, just literally, if you're trying to start, just go open up an account, If it's just for yourself, you can do, like I said, Robinhood, E-Trade, Webull, just open up an individual account. Or if you're eligible, open up a Roth IRA, pick a couple stocks that you, or companies you like, that you use. I love Apple. I own so much Apple stock. My girls own so much Apple stock. Just look at companies that you already use and just start buying that. As simple as that. That's literally all you have to do. It's not it's not super complicated. It's not super hard. That's really like the steps you need to take. And you can do the same things for your children. You can go to these same companies, open up custodian investment accounts and start buying them stock. Or if your child has earned income, meaning that they have a paycheck or make money, you can open up minor Roth IRAs for them, as well. So those are some of the steps you can take. If you're brand new to this, or you can also go to, we have a bunch of, I'm actually doing class tomorrow, but I do a bunch of like free, investing master classes that teaches you just the basics and how to get started, with these things.
Good to know. And you also have the Facebook group as well that they can connect with you. Because I want them to make sure, our Mommy Millionaires, that they're connecting with you, because they should be connecting with you. She said it already, ladies. If you want to be, follow the money. And her track record, Dominique's track record definitely doesn't lie. She has the receipts to prove what she's actually doing, and it works. And so definitely we want to be able to model this type of behavior. And so if I wanted to book with you, tell us where we can actually be a part of Finances Demystified, or how we can or what programs that you have made available to the moms out here.
Yeah, you can just go to financesdemystified.com, and all the links to all of our various programs. We have our Finances Demystified Bootcamp, which is like basic personal finance information. And then we have our Wealth Transfer Investing course, which is our signature investing course that teaches people about investing and trading. And then we also have our new course, which is Crypto Demystified. Crypto Demystified, that focuses more on crypto, right? Not helping you understand crypto, how to get into the markets, leveraging all the things in the crypto market. But yeah, you can go to financesdemystified.com, or you can just go straight to my Instagram at Dominique Broadway, and the link is in my bio with the links to everything we have going on.
And I'll be sure to drop those links in our podcast note sections as well. Dominique, thank you so much for this. This has been more than just, I'm full off of the conversation. I know that I'm going to be somebody that's going to be connecting with you to move my finances forward in the very near future. But I'm hoping that we also are able to raise up other mommy millionaires who are able to not only just make the millions, but also sustain it. I wish you nothing but the best. Peace and blessings to you. Thank you for you and your team just taking the opportunity to speak again to our platform, and we will be in touch. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me.